3, 2, 1. We are live.
This is 2OF Entertainment.
And we are here. Look at us.
We are another bright day, another great day.
I know. And you
Well,
have
art every day is a great day.
that's how I look at it. I look at art every day. So
Well,
I can see
I can see the art behind you. You're an aficionado, as they call the guy that collects things and likes things around them. That I think that's a great thing about art collection is that people gather things around them that talk about their personality and what they like. Right? And people, why do they collect it? They like it because they like it, you know.
It makes me smile. I told my when I bought the moose, my wife was like, "Why are you buying this moose?" And I said, "Because he's got this smirk on his face that's kind of like F you." And I'm like, "That's my personality, so I like it." So I see him every morning, and then over here I've got art on this wall. I've got the crow over here, and then other stuff all over. And then once we finish our move into the new house, I can actually pull the stuff out of storage and actually have art all over the house again. So that'll be nice.
Yeah. When you can live within it, it's lovely to walk on the things that you like to collect. I mean, it's only as good as long as you're around, right? And so
true. Well, when I die, no one will appreciate it but me. So
there you go.
But the family's happy when I die because they're going to sell it all, and then but like, oh look, now then they'll be very happy. So they cut the. We had to get a new car because the last car they kept cutting the brake lines. So that was a terrible thing. But we're getting there. No, I'm kidding. So, but no. So it's I like collecting. I've been doing it for like we talked about a long time. So I always like when you have your artists on because you learn new things, which I like.
Well, we're going to even learn a little bit more today. I guess she's a master printmaker.
And apparently a porridge maker, but that's for another topic. So,
well, it's good. Yeah, it's good. I won't talk into the aesthetics of having porridge every day, but as you get older, it's important to have that function. It's good for you. Right?
It's good for you. Yes.
Yeah, it's really good for you. Just like good art. So
there you go.
We have an artist that is more than just a printmaker, though. She's makes wearable art. He has a BFA and an MFA in printmaking, which gives her the accreditation. 25 years of I guess working in stone and litho and things like that. The traditionals and waterless lithography. Studied under Nick Seminoff in the University of Saskatchewan as well, but she's also involved in costume making and eco printing from plants that make things. Wow. Now she makes costumery, and we're talking about everything from hammered copper dresses to chainmail and to the costume for like Shakespeare plays and things. And these are one-off costumes that she makes, custom makes. So it's going to be interesting, not only in the fabric, but in the actual sculpture of the making of the garment. Right. So, and I'd like to bring Lindsay Embree in from Saskatchewan.
There she is.
Yes.
The porridge maven, as we like to say. So,
yeah.
Well, Lindsay, you have a wonderful show with Paul. I'm sorry, I'm going to leave because nobody wants to hear me go, look, it's pretty all day. So you talk art. I'll come back at the end where I get to ask my 3 questions. I ask every artist, and hopefully you'll have the answers. And there you go. So enjoy your interview. We'll see you all later. Cheers.
Bye.
Okay.
See ya.
Oh, good day for you.
Yes.
Well, yeah. This is a great opportunity. We've been saying let's go have coffee for like 5 years. I said, okay, this is the only way I can have coffee with you at the moment.
Oh yeah. Cheers.
Cheers. So we have coffee, but we've been involved in printmaking a number of things over the quarter century, probably. I hate to say that, quarter century. We've probably known each other. And we have this great opportunity to talk to you about what you're doing. I mean, you're a busy lady. I mean, you're really hard to get a hold of. You're always on collaborative things that are traveling all over the world, New Zealand and such. And we're just talking about some of the stuff. So do you feel that all this travel really does influence a lot of what you're producing? I mean, we'll show some images here in a minute, but just talk to you generally. Does travel help an artist quite a bit? Like,
I think so. Yeah. Being
So-
exposed to, different countries, different artists, different ways people work.
yeah.
I think it's really interesting. So
Is that kind of the interesting thing of collaboratives? Is that really one of the real advantages is the meeting and learning of new things with other artists?
yeah.
Yeah.
The collaborations that I go to up at Ness Creek now, near Big River in Saskatchewan, and then the one in New Zealand, just out of Whangarei on the North Island. I've met so many talented artists, and they're all very open, willing to share, work with you. So you learn so much from them, and then they learn from you as well. So it's a two-way give and take, right?
Yeah. So we have somebody playing with your lighting there. Are you good?
Mine?
Yeah. Okay.
Where?
It seems to be floating in and out a little with the lighting, but anyway, you're on
sorry.
your dark light, but that's okay. It's kind of arty, actually. It's kind of good. I think we're gonna actually start. We got a lot to go through here, so we're start up the images, and this kind of I love this image to start with because it's a close up of one of your garments, and you're talking about the pivotal moments when change happens in your life, like in your art life when you're making of art. Can you go into a little bit about that, where that change? I mean, you're a traditional printmaker of lithography and stone litho and the making actually of paper prints, right? Can you talk a little bit of the transition from those early stages to maybe halfway as to where you're up to the what you're doing here?
Halfway.
Well, there's a long journey. There's a long journey we're talking here. So initially, when you're moving from learning of traditional printmaking techniques and you're producing paper products from them, how does that trend? Like you've done silk and a bunch of other things, so you went through a lot of different experimentations. So, our people like to hear a little bit about those earlier days of the starting thing, the spark, where they comes from.
Yeah. Okay, so I learned traditional stone lithography from Otis Tamashauskas at Queen's University in my last year of the fine arts program, so 80-81.
Right.
And printing paper was the usual, that's what you did. But he was always pulling in different materials into his work, and even more so now. But so I think he was always a big inspiration for me, right even in my early student days. And then I did paper, printing on paper for probably till 1997. So 16 years, well, something like that, 16 years. And then, so then I started working for Shakespeare on the Saskatchewan as a costume assistant, and then started working more with fabric. And then it kind of all happened sort of simultaneously. I started wanting to print fabric, but I'm not a silk screener, or I wasn't then. I was a lithographer. So this is all printed lithographically, this silk. So I did this at Open Studio in Toronto in 2000, I think I went there. All of my residencies were self-funded, except there was one I had in Newfoundland in 2001. That was, I was accepted into their residency program. So that was, I got money for that. Right. But everything else, all the times I went to Open Studio to print, were funded by, me and my husband, right?
Yeah.
So I started getting more interested in putting printmaking on a body. But I also have to say that to frame a paper piece was, you know, about $300 for a small sized piece. And I could buy a $2 dowel to stick through the back of a fabric piece and hang it on the wall. Now, that's not to say that I don't frame my fabric pieces. I do some of them. But anyway, so that was, my shift sort of started in kind of around 93 when I was getting, you know, working in theater a lot. So every year from 93 until 2019 when COVID hit.
Wow.
Yeah. So I think, and also working at the Saskatchewan Craft Council, I was working there from 93 till about 2010. And I was exposed to a lot of Saskatchewan craft, like high-end craft artists, exceptional at what they do. Clay, or I mean ceramics, wood, weaving, all sorts of textile arts. And it just seemed like everything, there was more, my scope widened from just printing on paper to a wider surface area, or, you know, different types of fabrics that you could work with.
Yeah, there's a kind of Yahoo moments, aren't they?
Yeah, but also in there, in the 90s and 98, I was invited to my very first collaborative art making event now it's called the Emma International Collaboration. And that was just like, my world went from like this to this, right?
Yeah.
My arms don't go all the way around. But it was, yeah, and that's where I started, I was exposed to women who were blacksmiths and furniture makers, wood turners, not just men, right? So all through my early years of studying, it seemed to be male centric, all the art we looked at, you know, or that we were exposed to, or at least me.
It's not that you couldn't lift a hammer and pound it and yourself as well.
No, and actually, I mean, I have seen some amazing work, like done by women artists from all over the world. And that's the other thing, right? So you meet artists from the United States, from France, New Zealand, Australia, the UK. I think there was a wood carver from Hungary came one year. And just to see the work they do, it's just incredible. And you go, wow, this is amazing.
Yeah, we all kind of work. Yeah,
hey?
we all kind of work with the same substrate, wood, whatever it is, wood, metal, whatever. But it's the envisioning of how they treat that relative, maybe part of their culture comes out in what they do, especially if you're dealing with, you know, New Zealand and some of the Australia, and some of those people bring a little bit of that, because they're kind of like Canada. They're away from everything else. They're sitting on this continent that's got water all around it and somewhat isolated from, I mean, it's a huge population and they're very creative in that, but within their own realm, unless they get in and out and see other people coming and going, they have the same issues as you have. Like they get to learn from outside, and I can see how collaboration is really important for, you know, developing artists, like artists that are really searching for something that's more than just, like you said, sticking something on paper similar to what somebody else did, right? You're almost not copying it, but you're saying, oh, I can paint like that, or I can produce a print like that. And you say, well, yeah, but if you can make your own paper, that changes the element to start with, right? Right there. It's like your own fabric. So look at this garment right here. So you're looking at, there's a close-up of not necessarily that garment, but of the texturing of how it can be done. So are these done with plants? Is this plant-based, some of this?
All of it.
All of it's plant-based. Yeah.
Yes. Well, the fabric is a blend of wool and silk.
Okay, so it absorbs well, right? It absorbs.
Oh yes. Yeah. That's yeah. So the image on the left, the dress, that's mostly eucalyptus leaves on that one. And because we don't have eucalyptus trees that grow in Saskatchewan, I have to buy the leaves, and they're very expensive here, right? From a florist. And you're limited to the the species that you can get, like the variety, right?
Right.
They're very limited. Anyway, but with a protein-based fiber, which comes from animal, right? Wool, silk, alpaca, Angora, those things. Usually, depending on the variety of the eucalyptus, it'll give you that sort of bricky red color. Now, the image on the right is actually a post oak leaf. There's many different kinds of oak trees, but that piece was done in North Carolina. That detail is from a different dress, but the just incredible, right? Like you go for a walk, you pick up leaves. Now, some of them give you color and some of them don't. If they don't give you the color, they might give you this outline. We call it like a negative positive.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, it's sort of like monoprinting a little bit. You get surprises that can happen, and this one is a real surprise when you unroll it, or and
it's just like Christmas. Every bundle, it's just like wow.
Yeah. And I would think you almost hate to have to cut it up into something, right? At a certain point. I can almost see that. Where do you decide to make a splice or cut, right?
Well, you think about it.
Yeah.
Right. Because there's depending on the amount of fabric. Now, I didn't include any of the actual showing like the bundling of the silk. Yeah. But the most I can bundle at one time is probably, okay, I buy my silk from the United States, so it comes in yards. The most I can do is 3 yards that are, 52 inches wide.
Yeah.
Right. Or 45 inches wide. It depends on the silk I'm getting, but
so are these
my hands can't like when you get all of the materials into the fabric, or I often do an accordion, because then you fold the fabric over the leaves. Sometimes people go the other way and I'm going, no, you're going to drop all your leaves off. But anyway.
Yeah.
And then you roll it. I'll end up with a bundle about this big, and I have to tie it, right? So anyway.
Yeah, there is a whole process to that. Right? I don't think we're in the process.
No, but the dress was sewn together first, and then it was bundled.
Oh, really?
So,
okay.
Yeah. So you've got to project where you're going to have your darks showing up, the outermost part.
Yeah,
right?
It's a learn. I definitely would learn. I didn't realize that. I thought you'd be doing the raw fabric and then you'd make a garment from it, but it's actually the opposite to that. You make your garment.
You can do it. You can do it that way.
Yeah. So you're a seamstress as well, right? You sit there.
I wouldn't call myself a seamstress. I'm a reluctant one.
Oh yeah, I know. We all have that. Sort of like I frame, but I don't like framing.
No, I know. It's just it's like, no, I'm not a seamstress. I know. Yeah. Anyway,
but
that's
the
great thing about theater, right?
Everybody sits way back. They can't see all the stitching.
That's right. You go, I'm only going to see it from 25 feet away. It's fine.
So is theater part of your life as well? Like really you love theater?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Big time. Often, sorry.
Are you the backstage theater person? You really love that? Yeah.
I have performed on stage, but dancing.
Right. And we'll talk about that a little bit. You like flamenco and
yeah.
And is there other traditional dancing you do as well, or mostly flamenco?
Oh, I did years of ballet, modern jazz, like modern dance and modern improvisational dance. So that's a different kind of dance. You have no choreography. You've got to make it up on the spot. But you have a skill base that you're working with. It's almost like some of the techniques. It sounds very similar to what our teacher Linda Rubin, the way she approached it. So you will learn certain skills like shadowing, flocking. That means nothing to you, but it does to people taking improv. And then your technical base, right? So
Right.
pirouettes and slide falls and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah. No,
But
it's just nice that I think artists typically they're not just doing art. A lot of times they do poetry as well, or they play an instrument. So we have a number of the things that an artist, I guess, draws from. Like they either listen to certain types of music when they do their art, maybe they're producing artwork. But I think the theater aspect is really kind of unique. And then how you've married your printmaking, and you sort of said, like you said, you've kind of found your voice as far
yes.
as what you're doing, right? Here's you dancing here. I just actually
I was posing.
posing the dress, right?
Well, yes, because this dress, it's an 18th century ball gown, and I made that to go to it was a ball, a costume party in Paris. And it was actually at Versailles. It wasn't in the palace at Versailles. It was right next door at the Waldorf Astoria.
Nice.
So, yeah. So I made this dress. This is fabric I dyed in New Zealand, and then I brought it home, and I thought, oh, what I'm going to do with this. And then this costume party came up, and I went, oh, this is perfect because it's a big, broad canvas, right? These 18th century skirts are very wide, and they call them saddlebags to get that shape, right? So you wear them on your hips.
There's a lot of fabric in this one. Yeah, there's a lot of fabric in this one.
Yeah, there's probably 4, 8, almost 12 yards.
Holy, and there's a bit of weight to this too, right?
It's heavy.
You're wearing 12 yards of fabric. It has some weight.
It also has, it's lined. It's got a petticoat type thing, right? So because the silk wouldn't have the nut, it needs the weight to look the way it does.
Yeah.
So
no whalebone stuff going on though, right? You had a whalebone corset as well?
Yeah.
Oh, really?
The bodice is boned.
Oh my goodness.
Right. Because you have to have it. It's the structure, right?
Wow.
It needs to be boned. Otherwise it doesn't look right.
It'd be limp. It just would fall if it doesn't puff out a little bit.
Well, it gives you, it actually makes you sit straight and stand straight. You can't slouch in that because you can't, you're boned, right? You're literally in it's not a corset, but it is boned. So it has that structure.
Yeah. I can see you'd be very tired at the end of the day if you had to carry that around without the structures to help you. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like having to wear a weightlifting belt. You need that to keep your back straight and protect yourself a little bit. The garment on the right, though, can you talk about now? Did you buy that fabric or did you dye your fabric?
The outer fabric is dyed. It's a cotton sateen.
Beautiful blue. Yeah.
Yeah. That was when I was sort of starting, just trying different things. But there's also applique on it, which you can't see really. But the underdress is silk organza that I printed with my dragonfly pattern. Mm-hmm. And then the lining of the overdress is printed with the same dragonfly pattern. And then the exterior shell of the outer dress is all dyed. Yeah. I built that not for me. It looks really good on a tall, slim person.
Yeah.
So
was that part of the costume though? Was that a costume that you're making or just?
No, I built that. It's called Ode to Ophelia, actually. So there's a segment in Shakespeare and Hamlet where she dies, right? I think I was building it for an exhibition and it wasn't accepted.
We can talk about that. We've had a few of those in our life.
Oh yes, and I think that might be coming up.
Yeah.
All my rejections. Oh, this is water. This dress is from Ancient Elements, which is my last big project that I worked on was a flamenco performance. So we had a singer from Spain, guitarist from California, Maria, who is the dancer in Water. She's from Calgary. And then, so 4 local dancers. I consider Calgary local.
Yeah.
I think we had 5 musicians. Brian Bradshaw wrote original poetry for introducing the two segments of the show. Anyway, it was great. It was a lot of work, but it took a while to kind of come together. I had this one idea when I dyed some silk in New Zealand. I thought, oh, this would make a great flamenco's dress, and I know exactly who would look really good in it. But then I did some other things, and finally, after about 4 or 5 years, it just kept growing, the whole idea. So it ended up being this really big show with, well, 9 or 10 artists. And
Yeah,
I got to sit.
This is a living, organic performance is what I see more than anything. So this is like
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So the
Yes.
flamenco part is a performance. When you're bringing other people in, it's actually probably a larger performance than Persephone would put on. Usually the Persephones are like a 2-person play. You've got like 6, 7, 8 people involved in this piece from all over. Yeah.
Well, and this dress is indigo. This is all done. Indigo is a natural dye.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
And actually, yeah. So I actually took with wax. I wrote the lyrics for the song in Spanish called Como el agua, so like water. And she danced in water.
Oh, really?
Oh yeah, it was great.
So
Actually, I have
a water.
Sorry?
What did you do for the water? Was it like a pool of some kind, or?
No, we had to build a stage. So my husband, Arnfinn, built the stage with Tegan Obertos. She works in theater. She's local. She's was a drama student at the U of S. They worked on the stage. There was a segment at the front that was, probably 8 feet by, quite a substantial amount of space for her. And it was covered, so nobody knew what was underneath it until she was the last of the 4 to go on. So it was earth, well, the 4 ancient elements, right? Fire, earth, air, and water. So water was the last one. So just before she came on, that cover was lifted off and then the water was exposed. And it was you only need a couple of inches of water.
But it still weighs a bit, and
but it was a very strong stage.
Yeah. You don't want water going everywhere either. You kind of control where you want the water to be. I can only imagine her just splashing around in this, in the dance form. It would have been quite. Do you have video of that for yourself?
Yes.
Yeah. So that's.
Well, we hired a videographer and a photographer to record. The whole dance is recorded. It's on YouTube, but it's a private link. It's not public.
Yeah.
We're thinking of making it public. We did it as a fundraiser for the Jack Milliken Center,
right?
Which is they're building the multi-purpose center up at Ness Creek near Big River. So
I think you can actually put funding aspects into your YouTube as well. I think, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay. Well, it is on YouTube. I could send you the link. You can watch it. It's about a 2-hour show.
Holy.
But we've got some original flamenco music written by Daniel Renier, who is local. He's a professor at St. Thomas More College. Anyway, so it was just pulling a lot of people that I've known for years, I've danced with and taken classes with or studied under, and this is a collaboration, right? Yeah. And theater is a collaboration. So in many ways, a lot of what I do is collaborative. Yeah. There's my rejection letter dress.
There you go, a rejection letter dress. I think that's pretty amazing. I mean, we all as artists have a few of these in our drawer.
Oh yeah.
They are, they build thick skin. I don't know what you use thick skin for, but an artist needs some of that. And I think we have a piece in this one as well. I think I'm involved in one.
We do. You do. but maybe a few actually.
It might be. I did have a
Yeah,
couple
well,
in my life. Yeah.
it's from the anyway, the show we had when
100
Saskatchewan was
we had 100 Horizons, it was called.
yeah, 100 Horizons, that was it.
Yeah.
Well, anyway, it was so because I was involved in that exhibition called like what's the word? I'm sorry, my brain. Applying for exhibitions, it was primarily you and Nora were going around and to different places and the letters were sent all over, right?
We did, yeah.
They're all of the rejections are on there. I don't know how many there are, but
anyway. You know what? We did really well. We had about, I think I counted by the time we were done, we had 18 showings for that one. 18 out of there. I think we produced almost half of those we found on our own, independent ones. So I thought we really did really well for the little bit of rejections that we did get, remembering that it was Saskatchewan's centenary that started this off. And that was the premise for having this show of printmaking to travel. Well, everybody was sending out at the same time. You can imagine the deluge of paper that was landing at every public gallery in the province, especially. And they're having to make tough decisions, right? And printmaking is not usually right at the top of their valued list, right?
No.
So,
yeah.
But we had a really strong presentation, so we did well.
Yes.
We did well. Yeah.
So those are not the actual letters because they're letters that they're scanned and heat set onto silk organza. So there's that layering effect. So even though it's not a print on paper, I'm still looking at layering images because I don't know, they're just, I think fabric is a bit more durable. Maybe it'll last longer, but who knows? Right? I mean, just when you're thinking of the longevity of things. But the far left, the far right image, there's my printmaker coming out, eh?
Yeah.
I reverse everything, the far left, which is right.
The first of everything,
yeah. This is one of the first wearable art show that my Arnfinn and I organized. So we did 3 wearable art shows, 2013, 15, 17, and then I did the 2019 Ancient Elements. Yeah. But those 3 dresses are that's my work.
Yeah.
The thing is, fabric changes completely when it's on a body than when it's on a static form.
I'll have to take your word for that. I haven't designed anything for somebody to wear yet. So something.
Well, I was when we got all the entries for all of the wearable art shows over the years, I had to fit the piece to the dancer. We didn't have models; they were dancers. So, one piece I would know as soon as I'd see it, I'd go, "Oh, that's gonna go on Anastasia." Right? I knew instantly that she had the personality, the structure, the body, everything to carry this leather corset off. Right? She looked fabulous. And then some pieces I had to try it on several people, literally, because and then I took pictures of each person in the piece, and then I took the best one, right?
Yeah.
So
tough decisions to make, and
it can change. There was a headpiece in our last wearable art show that I instantly I knew exactly who it went on. That piece actually won the first prize category for the headpiece. And then because that model was in a different dress, because it a different outfit, they weren't sure if it was going to be win or not. It was shortlisted, right? So these awards are given sort of on the spot, right? So because the other person was the person who was wearing the headpiece when they sort of chose it, when they called it out, it was on a different model because the first model was in a very complicated piece that we couldn't get her out of in the minutes. It would take 20 minutes to get her out of the piece. Anyway, so a different person they wore that headpiece out, and the judges went, "Did we just give that a prize?" And that's how much a body can affect, right?
Wow.
The look of something.
Yeah.
So that's something you don't think about when you're doing paper, right?
No, do you think about framing when you do pieces? Well, I don't really try to think that far ahead for framing for a piece of work.
I frame mine very simple, just off-white, basic, no color, mattes, nothing.
Yeah, I know.
I want the piece to speak for itself.
Yeah, but you get into some frame shops and they'll sell you up.
I know. Well, I always go, I want this.
The frame becomes worth a lot more than the work of art.
Oh, isn't that always the case?
Yeah.
Has it changed?
Yeah. No, I don't think it's actually getting worse, I think. The cost of framing is insane. But again, these are two beautiful pieces here. These little scarves that I guess they're scarf or shawls, or what is the right wording? What is the right wording for this?
The dress, that's a 4-square dress. Okay. So I joined the Surface Design Association a number of years ago, and I took I was down in Minneapolis for it, and there was a course that I took about Madeleine Vionnet, who was a early 1900s French designer, and you'll have to look her up. But she designed this dress called a 4-square dress. It's 4 true squares sewn together in a certain way, and it's all about the drape. It's just the way it drapes, and it's beautiful. It's so simple. I sew that. Those are 4 square scarves that I dyed and then put them together in this 4-square dress.
Oh, nice.
I should have had a model with it. I have pictures of somebody wearing one, and then the other one. Sorry.
It's tough to get everything done. You do the work, and then you got to do the presentation, and you want something for your archive, and it's expensive, and it's time consuming. You got to organize everything, not only the photography but the model, and you literally, unless you really trust your photographer, you have to be there for the shooting, and you're probably advised to do that. So it's a day's work, each one. I understand. I was in the commercial aspects of it, and it's rare that you just say, "Here, photographer, shoot this." You're on set, making sure that's the way the client's going to want it, and you're the client, so you want to make sure it's going to be. You're going to have to live with it. Yeah.
Well, that's why. So when I modeled that 18th century ball gown, it was Trent Watts did the photography, and he's used to shooting furniture pieces, stationary things, right? So we did the traditional front back, 3/4 view to get the dress. But then I thought, well, we got to liven this up a bit. So I just did all these different sort of dance poses. Anyway, he really enjoyed that. He said, "Oh yeah, that's a good one."
Well, you have to show the dress in what it can do. If you're just standing there, it doesn't make sense. But if you got some motion and flow, it changes the drapery and the dress and everything. So
So the one on the image on the right is a scarf. It's
big.
It's 35 inches square. So So that's the same. The dress on the left is actually made out of 4 of those scarves. So, but because they're sewn on the bias, right? So the stretchy, not the warp or the weft, but the bias. Then you get the drape, the long, really long line.
Yeah, that swoop that's there. Yeah. No, it has a very elegant feel. Beautiful.
Yep. Oh, that's a heavy dress. This one weighs about 20 pounds.
Yeah.
Maybe more, actually.
Can you tell us a little bit about there's a close-up of some of the copper that you Where did this come from? Now, I realize probably one of your collaboratives and learning with either one or two different artisans. I'll guess almost say that these people were that learning how to, I guess, color heat. Are these color heated? Some of the
Yes.
yeah.
This is okay. The dress is called A Woman's Skin. So, and the plates are etched as well. I actually won an award for this one at the
You should. It's beautiful.
Yeah, Wearable Art Awards in Burnaby in BC. That was a while ago.
Yeah. Knights in armor, and you could be Guinevere in this one.
I've worn this dress. Let me tell you, if you wear it for about an hour and take it off, you literally feel like you're going to lift off the ground.
So what does it weigh? What would it weigh? How much would it weigh?
Well, I was thinking maybe 20 pounds, but I have never really weighed it. It has to have an underdress, right? So I built that.
That's part of the weight too, though. You got to get on and off that scale. It's kind of a scary thing.
Well, you enter it from the side. So it's like a shift, right? I mean, it's metal. Yeah. Anyway, metal is actually more malleable than you think. So that's a heat patina. And then I learned a much nicer way of doing it from a fellow collab artist, Greg Wilbur, who's from Portland, Oregon. Amazing metal worker, man. I mean, just incredible metalsmith. Anyway, so I left. I wanted to, you could clean it up if, I could have cleaned it up, but I didn't want that. I wanted so it's about enduring relationships, right? So positive, negative things that happen in a relationship could be marriage, friendship, whatever you want. Right. And so that's why some of the plates are etched with the negative things that people say to each other and the positive things. So, and this particular fold is called a Tomlin fold.
Yeah.
And it seems to be most men like this fold a lot. So I thought, okay, I'll just make a whole dress out of this fold. You can have as many as you want.
Yeah.
So anyway, and then it's an oriental weave to link the plates together. And it's just I had to solder all of those links.
I could only imagine you making all this chainmail, like hours of knitting.
Well, it's more like a putting them together, but I would have to work really hard to get the links through I had to punch all the holes.
Oh yeah.
And then I had to work really hard to get them through the links through those little tiny holes. And then you'd move the dress slightly and they just pop out. And I went, so then I just had to solder all of the links that went through the plate.
Yeah. Well, and I can imagine like these things shift and move. So it's really important to get that chainmail pretty exact in the size, because otherwise you look at the horizontals that these are lining up like a checkerboard a little bit, and you want them to line up. They have to have a structure. Otherwise they have that jumble look. They would shift, move around. So you need to have that. They still move a bit. Like I can only imagine when you walk in this or move around.
It actually has a beautiful sound.
I can imagine that kind of a sound.
It does sound like that. So anyway, that's called A Woman's Skin. It's in a box in the basement in a closet.
Oh, you've got to get it back out into a fashionable sense somewhere. This is a headpiece you were talking about, was it not? You were talking about a headpiece, this one?
Oh, no. This is the headpiece I was talking about was for the Wearable Art Show that was in 2017.
Right.
But this is from Shakespeare.
Oh, okay.
This was done for Hamlet.
Yeah, it's beautiful. Yeah.
Beautiful. So this is designed by Beverly Kobelski. She's the designer. She was for Hamlet that year, and she said, "Can you do some copper folds for this headpiece. I said, okay, sure. So I did. I did up a bunch, and then there again, theater is collaboration, right? Like there isn't one. Sometimes one person might work on a piece right from beginning to end,
Right.
but often there's several people.
Yeah, different
involved.
skill sets, and then you put them together, and you end up with a piece of magic like this. Is beautiful.
Yeah. Well, the other thing is, working with Beverly's, well, I found it was great because she knows where my strengths are, and she utilizes those, right? So I'm much better at hammering copper. I mean, I can sew. I'd rather hammer copper personally.
Yeah.
I can sew.
Yeah, well.
Oh, there's the chair. That chair is by Ross Annals, and I did the fabric for the seat. So
this is a collaborative that you work together with a little bit.
Yeah. I did that. The chair was done in Australia. I was there for a couple of weeks. That was quite the experience.
Yeah.
We will go for coffee, and I'll tell you about the experience about that fabric.
Yeah. Oh, I'd love to hear that. Yeah. Well, we don't have time to talk about everything. I mean, we got to maybe leave some of this for another time.
Right. And then the piece on the right is a collaboration. I think there were three of us for sure.
Mm-hmm.
So that was the first time I ever hammered silver.
That's a piece of the top. The top of the witch's hat. The top of the witch's hat is silver, right? Is that?
Yeah. Oh, I never thought of it as a witch's hat.
I saw that.
There's a lot of
sculpture.
Yeah, isn't that interesting?
It's almost like one of those little twirly hats. I almost want to go and see if that thing will spin around on the top. But it's
well, that was this is a collaboration between me, Steve Haywood, who's a master jeweler in New Zealand, and Clay Foster, who is an American artist.
Yeah. You're so fortunate. You're so fortunate to have access to all these very, very talented artists and artisans around the world. I mean, I think you have to reach out if you really want to expand yourself. These people do not necessarily all come to you. I think it's really important to go to those collaboration opportunities and workshop opportunities and save your money, your pop bottles, whatever you need to take that one every 5 years or something. And other artists that will expand your horizon and change the direction on what you do.
Hugely.
Yeah. So this was really at one of your early stage pieces, and we're near the end of the program, but you started here, and we're going to maybe end here a little bit, but had a great conversation. It's short conversation, but yes, coffee will be good. Maybe two.
Well, I hope I answered all your questions.
No, there was no questions. I think we just wanted to talk.
I have thousands of questions, so we can't ask them. You'll have to come back. You've been, I think Paul would agree, on his show, you're one of the most engaging guests he's had.
Really?
No, seriously. Yeah, because everybody else, we get them drunk before, and it's not good.
Okay.
But
you had oatmeal
before. I know, that's why it was good. So if somebody wants to buy it, we're going to put your website link. I'm drinking too much. Your website link below so people can find your stuff. If they want to purchase something from you, what is the prices? Like if someone wants a gown, a hat, or a painting, or what's it range from? Or you just do it out of love and you don't sell it anymore?
I do sell things. That's why I do the scarves.
Okay.
Because there's work involved in those, but it's not the same amount as building one of those dresses.
The women hours that take to put it together. Yeah.
Right.
So.
Like I can't tell you how many hours it took me to do the metal dress. Each of those squares were hammered. You have to prepare the metal. There's lots of, and you have to learn how to do the fold. Right.
So if somebody wants a metal dress, you won't make another one unless the price is right.
Yeah.
$100,000. There you go.
All right,
Okay.
$100,000. Paul and I
I'd
are
do
going to be
it
your
hands
agent.
down.
Price up, 100,000.
I'd do really.
Now wait a
up
minute.
to that.
Is that Canadian? Because 100,000 Canadian is like $4.50 US. So yeah, it could be quite busy over here. Once they figure out the conversion rate. So
You can. Well, the other thing I should say about with the collaborations, everything is auctioned off at the end of the week of making.
wow.
And all of that money goes to as seed money to the next collab. So
Very
the
nice.
artist, you don't get, if you want a piece, you buy it. And
That's
often you pay your registration to be involved in working with all these incredible artists who are so inspiring, so sharing and giving and just encouraging, right? I had just some fabulous experiences with different artists over the years at these collaborations. And
This one is the Emma International Collaboration, the one you're talking about, where you sell everything up. Yeah, for that one. Does that happen in New Zealand? To say
yes. So the New Zealand collaboration was born out of the Emma collab because there was an artist from New Zealand who came to the Emma collaboration, which was started by Michael Hoselek.
Oh, really?
And he said, wow, this is amazing. Everybody who goes, I'd say 99.9% of the people who go to a collab, they go, I learned more in 5 days working with all these different artists than I did in 4 years of art school.
Yeah. Wow.
So, because it's just nonstop work from,
Yeah, and it's a love of doing work. When you see the energy that's there in the space, and the place, it's absorbing. It's very
it's
energizing. You get that if you're dealing with a bunch of mathematicians and people that count.
We're fine. We're finance guys. We're just talking. We're just talking hypotheses all day long, so it's all good for us. So. Well, you have been a delight, and we thank you so much. And listen, we could do this for 6 hours. The problem is that at some point people, have things, but the good thing is you can come back.
Yeah.
So until more stories and show more things, because I think Paul has 9,000 more things he wants to show and talk. So you could be a whole 1-year series for Paul, which would be good. So
we'll say one thing.
Sure.
One thing about the eco dyeing with the plants. Yeah. Nothing ever comes out the same. It's very dependent on what the weather was like that year for those leaves, that plant, the colors that come out, the size of the leaves. It's every time you open a bundle,
it's a surprise.
It's different.
It's a surprise.
Yeah,
so if someone were to see, for example, that 18th century ball gown I did, those leaves were leaves that I don't normally get because they're at the top of a tree and I can't get up to the top of a tree. And my friend and I had arrived in Whangarei. She picked me up at the airport. We went shopping, which means we go around to the trees that we know give us what we want and we pick leaves. Well, they chopped that tree down. That's the only way I got those leaves. Nice. So I might have 4 yards of that fabric, and that's it. Wow. Unless I can get more leaves like that, I can't do that fabric again. No. But even if I were to get leaves like that, it'll probably come out different.
Yeah.
So that's the exciting part about that, right? Everything's a surprise.
Well, we're gonna definitely bring Lindsay back because we haven't had a master. We want to talk about a master printmaker that we both knew that is no longer with us, but I think his processes and knowledge needs to be spread a little bit more. And Lindsay did work with him as well, and he was a good friend. But we will talk about Nick Seminoff down the road one day, and we'll book a show. And that one, if you are a printmaker or want to be, you are going to want to watch that show for sure.
He was just like a genius in printmaking. He did so much for printmaking everywhere. And anyway.
Yeah, we'll do that.
Well, we're going to leave it on that note. And for everyone that's watching, don't forget to subscribe and like. Lindsay's links are below, so ask her to make you a copper dress. Apparently, it's $4.50 US, 100,000 Canadian. Just saying. And we'll go from there. And Paul, we'll see you next week. Lindsay, it was a pleasure meeting you. It was wonderful.
Well, nice to meet you
we'll
too.
See you soon.
Take care.
Thank you.
All right.
Cheers, everybody.
Bye.
Have a great week. Okay.